So it's a constant evolution, man. I've never arrived.
So what I do every day is I prime myself for what I want rather than letting the environment control me. We've all had times when you snapped at somebody and you felt bad because it wasn't them, it was the state you're in.
Number one, that you deserve your goal. Number two, that whatever you've done thus far is only a mere fraction of what's possible for you.
How do I get it? Believe me when I say that you have a gift. You have a passion about that gift, and with the right plan, you can leverage that gift to fulfill a dream. Believe me when I say this. It's true. It's no less true than the law of gravity, where that 2 + 2 is 4. Believe in this truth, and you will have the attitude you need to succeed.
That's right now, I'm stressing out 2-3 hours a day. I'm trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm like, oh man, I went through Navy SEAL training being fucked up. I ran over 7,000 miles in 2007 being fucked up. I did pull-up records being fucked up. Now, that the mind is so fucking strong, that the body catch the mind. So that's now where I'm at. So I'm always trying to reinvent the wheel and see what I'm capable of next.
Right? Well, there's no excuse for that. If you prime yourself, you set yourself up. But the way I did it is I do this process. It's 10 minutes, I put some music on, I do this massive change in my breathing so it radically changes the way I feel. And then I do this 3-step process. First, I do 3 minutes of gratitude where I think of 3 things I'm really grateful for, and I associate, I don't think of it up there, I feel it. And the reason is, when you're grateful, you can't be worried. You can't be fearful. When you're grateful, you can't be angry. And anger and fear are what screw people up most in their relationships, in their life, in their business. So I wire myself. I was saying to you that most people want to be happy, but their habit is to be worried or pissed off or frustrated or stressed. And so they've got a highway to stress and they got a dirt road to happiness. So I wire myself. I've got a highway to gratitude, which changes all your emotions. And then I do a 3-minute process of kind of a prayer for my family and friends. And then I do a 3-minute process of the top 3 things I want to accomplish. I see it as done and I feel it. I'm done in 10 minutes. So sometimes I go 20, but my deal is 10, so there's no excuse not to do it.
Can you imagine getting to the end of your life, looking back only to discover that you only used 10% of what was given you? Jim Rohn said something I like very much. He said, when the end comes for you, let it find you conquering a new mountain, not sliding down an old. So I'm urging you to continue to be a mountain conqueror. But I don't know what your goals are. My goal is to be the best son that I can be to my mother. My goal is to be the best father that I can be to my children. My goal is to be the best servant that I can be to mankind. I'm asking that God use me so that I can begin to help thousands of kids across this country, like Mr. Washington helped me. I asked him, I said, what can I do to pay you back? He said, pass it on. So whatever your goals are, this is what I'm known by that's on my tapes. It says simply this, that if you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it, and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish or gulf, sickness or pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God you'll get it.
To change people's lives by sending me through a process that was so hard for me to overcome. When somebody like you stands up and asks me a question, I know the answer without even thinking, because I've been processed. I've been homeless, so I know exactly what you're feeling. You feel me? Listen, man, like I told all my kids have a college education. I told them all, I don't care what you get a degree in. Until you follow your dream and connect it to your gift, you'll never be happy. You'll never be happy, man. I just gotta tell you, you got to chase that dream before you die, man. You should go and live your dream. Just go see. God puts your real life in your imagination. That's where your real life ain't in your present circumstance.
A person with one or more talents who uses them to succeed. They identify their talents and work with and improve them to achieve their goals. Physical or performing arts. Talents likely aren't transferable to the practice of law or business. Being athletic or having a broad vocal range aren't going to. Help when trying a case or starting a business.
Perhaps it's shrinking the time frame down. The sooner we must do something, the more desperate it becomes. In other words, if something has to be done within 10 years, how desperate is that? But if it has to become sooner and sooner and sooner, or even if there just has to be a real date put on it, gives us some desperation knowing that date is coming sometime soon. So what is your plan and strategy to increase your desperation, increase your hunger level, and then focus? What's your plan to increase focus? Oftentimes that could be a plan to eliminate distractions. What's your strategy to eliminate distractions? Might be, I watch too much television at night and it distracts me from my goal. Perhaps you should remove that television from the room. That's a plan and a strategy to eliminate the distraction. Perhaps it's you're being on the internet too long or playing video games. Maybe you need to eliminate them. Perhaps in your nutrition, you're trying to get fit. The distraction are snacks that you have in your home or alcohol. Maybe they need to be removed from your home. What is your strategy and plan to eliminate distractions and increase focus?
Your real life is not in your current situation. Your real life is not in your paycheck. Your real life, he tucks it away in your imagination. Albert Einstein said, imagination is everything. It's a preview to life's coming attractions. Everything you imagine is a preview to a coming attraction. Once you understand that and quit looking at your imagination as hocus pocus, it opens up a wide range of things and possibilities. And God puts your real life in your imagination. Listen to me. This is serious what I'm telling you. Don't you think it's nothing else. Imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. That simply means everything that's in your imagination is a preview of a coming attraction that God has for you. That's why he puts it in your imagination. That's why when you tell your imagination to the wrong people, it don't go nowhere.
Because without the evaluation, without the intention, and without the plan and strategy, an actual plan to increase desperation, an actual plan and strategy, get creative, get resourceful. It's only with a plan that you can begin to make changes and a strategy. Otherwise, it's just a thought. And then fourth, what immediate massive action are you going to take right now? I'm talking about right when this audio or video ends. What's the immediate first massive action you're going to take towards that plan? The first step. It's unplug the TV, it's remove the video game, it's throw out the junk food, it's remove a certain person from your life. I don't know what it is, but what is the immediate massive action? Because if we can evaluate where we are and get very clear, because we can't know where we're going if we're not very clear about where we are. In other words, if life is like a GPS and we want to get to a particular destination, the only way we can get clear on getting there is to understand and evaluate and be specific about where we currently are.
Focus on those talents that would help you achieve your goals. Were they natural communicators, leaders, managers, visionaries? What talents? Did they have that would help you? More importantly, which of these talents are ones you have? Once you identify the talents, study how they use them, apply them, develop them. When did the talents come in handy?
For every struggle in your life, there is a strategy. They didn't get it either. I'm gonna try y'all. For every struggle in your life, there is a strategy. They got it.
When it comes to things that really matter in life, I think all of us know that better is a perspective. You know why you think some people's lives are better than yours? Because you see the part that they show you. They might have a better house, but I wonder what goes on inside. And see, you don't know which one's better. If you live long enough, you will find out that some of the people you spent so much of your time envying were secretly miserable.
There is something in you that will deliver you, but in order to produce it, you have to go through the dark place. Because what God has for you is too big for you to be small. What God has predestined for you is too big for you to be petty. It's too big for you to hold a grudge.
Every season of our life is part of the whole, and it should be embraced, even the painful seasons. The more we resist, the more it's going to hurt, and the longer it's going to take.
You will grow through what you go through. You will grow through what you go through.
What has your name on it will not go to anyone else. What belongs to you will not go to another person. God has somebody ordained for you. You won't have to beg them to stay, talk them into calling you, convince them to spending time. They'll be so in love with you, you can't get rid of them. Stay in that weight room. Be patient.
We got to go backwards to get better. We got to go all the way back to get better. I have to be comfortable in my life to accept that sometimes loss is the way to gain. To know that sometimes the most painful moments are the most purposeful moments. I have to be comfortable in my life to stop comparing myself so much with people who are not meant to be the standard anyway.
Now, I don't know what you're facing today, but I know this, everybody in this room is facing something. If it ain't nothing but life, if you don't have nothing to fight but life, if everybody likes you and you're just as beautiful as you can be and as healthy as an Olympian, if you deal with nothing but life, life will try you to the breaking point.
No matter what comes against us, we will make it through. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. That doesn't mean there's going to be no pain involved. But truly, we can do all things. Yes, you can make it through whatever you're going through right now. You can get so strong in spirit that you can be going through really, really difficult things, and while you are, you're still reaching out and helping other people, and they don't even know what you're going through.
I'm not in this by myself. I'm not in this thing by myself. You are not alone in the battle. You're not alone in the struggle. That God has a strategy, and when it's all over, you're going to see that even though you couldn't see him, he was there all the time.
On the outside, people don't look broken. You don't see bruises, and you don't see scratches, and you don't see scrapes, and people don't walk around in a big cast, and so you can't tell with the naked eye. The problem is that there's a malfunction on the inside. So many times, depression, what it feels like is this, that I'm so afraid to share what's going on the inside because I'm afraid it might destroy you. So what I do is I bury it on the inside of myself, only to destroy myself.
No matter how hard someone tries to get what's yours, they may manipulate, connive, ignore, leave you out. The oil is not going to flow to them. What has your name on it is coming your way. The person, the job, the opportunity, the promotion cannot go to anyone else. That's why we don't have to live jealous or envious of other people.
People around you change, and you can't, sometimes it's for the better, but sometimes it's not. And it's not bad, it's just that season was over in my life. And so here's the thing, if we try to keep hanging on to something when God is finished with it, there's no point in continuing to try to hang on to something that God's done with it, because all it's going to do is keep you from the next great thing that God has for you. I feel real strongly tonight to tell you guys, spring is right around the corner. Don't give up, and don't be afraid of change, and don't keep trying to hang on to something that's just not working anymore. Trust God for something better.
You know what? Some of us are so used to bad that we reject better when it comes.
Sometimes God proves his love to us by what he's not letting us have. Doesn't mean that it's never going to happen. We just have to spend more time in the weight room, growing, developing, learning to forgive, learning to keep a good attitude when things aren't going our way. The sooner we pass these tests, the sooner God will release what belongs to us.
When something is just beginning to bud, there is also trouble rising up right beside it. When the wheat came up, the tare came up with it. Not because the wheat wasn't real, but because it was. It came up at the same time. Life is crazy. It can be the best time in your life and the worst time all at the same time.
You can either stand up and take that small step forward. You don't have to know where you're going. You don't have to have the perfect plan. You don't have to know what tomorrow holds. But you can either get up and take that small step, or you're going to sit at that kitchen counter for the rest of your life. And now, years later, I pushed through those hard times, and I realized And I truly believe in now that the smallest of steps eventually completes the grandest of journeys.
You can have what other people can't have. You can go where other people can't go. You can ask what other people can't ask for, because you are not a whosoever. Quit acting like a whosoever. Quit asking like a whosoever. Quit asking like you don't have a right to go in boldly and ask. You are a chosen generation. You are a peculiar people. Say, I'm not a whosoever.
Our problems do not overshadow our purpose. Our weaknesses do not discount our work, and our deficiencies definitely do not delay our destiny. We have to learn how to work our weakness. You gotta work your weakness, because all of us to some degree have a thorn in our flesh. We all have gaps, we all have deficiency, we've all made mistakes, we've all got these things that feel like a thorn in our flesh.
The thing that you are up against right now is not about you. The battle is not yours. It belongs to God. That doesn't mean that you don't have to show up for the fight. It just means that ultimately the victory that you seek is not your victory. It is the victory because God has a purpose in you getting the victory over this situation. It is not you that's getting the victory. It is God that's getting the victory. God is using you to get his victory. And as soon as you get that straight, you can get down to business.
If you wish to be successful, study success. If you wish to be happy, study happiness. Happiness is not an accident. It is first a study and then a practice. You would naturally assume that most people would make a careful study of them. Why they do not is yet another example of those aspects of life that fall into the category of mysteries of the mind. Remember, major keys to your better future are going to be ideas and information.
Open people like to live on the periphery of boundaries, and they like to break boundaries between things because interesting things happen when you think a different way, when you think outside of the box, so to speak. That's what open people do. They always think outside of the box, no matter what box you put them in. You know, and sometimes you meet people that are so open that they're completely disorganized. Their thought process is almost completely associational, like a dreamer. They just jump from one thing to another, and they're very interesting to talk to. It's very hard for those people to get their lives together because they're interested in absolutely everything, and their attention just flits all over the place.
If we have any lack, it is not because we lack money or opportunity or resources. It is because we lack ideas that have taken form from information. If you search, you will find. So that is the way to discover ideas and life-changing information. Search. In order to find, you must search. You must go and engage in conversations with people of substance. You must go looking, go searching. Rarely does a good idea interrupt you. And as you make a diligent search, you will find just the ideas you need.
Everybody's been through some shit in their childhood. Alcohol and drug abuse, family members, grandmother, family dying, and it all sets you back. It's a setback for a setup to get to the ultimate blessings.
And I came to speak to somebody today who has some triumph in your life, but you've also got some trouble. You've got some joy in your life, but you've also got some sadness.
Until you have had the taste of finishing, you will not respect yourself. Until you follow through, until something is done, come hell or high water, tears and struggles and pain, and you go through it anyway, and you show up, and you continue to fight on, no matter the circumstances.
Courage is the key. Courage is the key. Confidence. It is never the promise of God that is in question. It is our confidence in that promise.
So why not reach down inside of you and come up with some more of those remarkable human gifts? They're there waiting to be discovered and employed. And I challenge you to do that because you can change. If you don't like how it is for you, change it. If it isn't enough, change it. If it doesn't suit you, change it. And And I challenge you to do all that because you can change. See, you don't ever have to be the same after today, only by choice. Now for the process of change, just a philosophical pronouncement won't do. It takes more than that, and it takes more than enthusiasm. You can get all excited about lifting 200 pounds until you get to the gym. Then you need a new excitement, and the new excitement is discipline. Discipline, the major step to human progress. If there is one thing to get excited about, this is it. Get excited about your ability to make yourself do the necessary things to get a desired result. That's true excitement.
So remember, if you find yourself doing something that doesn't seem to be supporting you in the long term, remember at some level your brain thinks it's supporting you, at least in the short term. Don't feel bad about it. Don't go, oh gosh, here I am, this failure. Some of the most successful people that I've interviewed and worked with have had self-sabotage. It's just a pattern we once in a while get, and you can just change it now. It's very easy. You can free yourself from self-sabotage right now by knowing from this day forward that if you ever start to sabotage yourself, one, try another approach. Maybe it's you're just not paying attention. Maybe you're not focusing. Maybe you just got some poor habits. If just bad habits, refocus and decide what you do want to accomplish.
Really making personal changes calls for 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration. Wishing we could change is a beginning, but now wish must be translated into activity, and inspiration and affirmation must lead to discipline. We can affirm that we are going to change, but we must now form new habits and develop new disciplines for the affirmation to come true. We can look at developing ourselves spiritually, physically, and mentally. With respect to our spiritual development, this may be a major or a minor issue for you depending on your values and your goals. Come to your own decisions as to what it will take to nourish your spiritual nature. Next, let's look at physical development. The body and the mind work together and depend on each other, so they both need attention. Treat your body like a temple. So just put it in your notes. Body like temple. Not a bad suggestion. Now, in taking care of the physical, we must learn to be conscious of ourselves, but not self-conscious. We need to be aware of our physical appearance, our physical well-being, but not to the point of being self-conscious. But some people devote too much of their day to physical appearance. Physical appearance is going to have something to do with your future, your well-being, so do spend some time on physical appearance. How we appear to other people does make a difference in terms of our acceptance and our ability to function and do well in the marketplace.
If you do have a pattern, realize that any pattern you have, including self-sabotage, still comes back to one thing. Human beings, no matter what we're doing, including sabotaging ourselves, we do it for a positive intent. If it clearly is a pattern where you are subconsciously sabotaging yourself, screwing things up, hey, get excited. Don't get upset. Say, hey, look, my brain is doing what it does best.
Personal development, how important. Remember, the major key to your better future is you. That's a sentence with a lot of value. The major key to your better future is you. For a share of my life, I didn't understand the importance of that phrase. I used to wonder why two people could work for the same company and one make twice as much money. Wouldn't that be a puzzle? I know there are many ways to do well, but in this narrow area called compensation, what is the difference? I thought time makes some of the difference. Some people do better because they have more time. Now, that's got to be dumb, right? You can't get someone else's time. There isn't any more time. Where would you find any? Hey, when the clock strikes 12 midnight, that's about it. It's over. There isn't any more time. If you insist on finding more than 24 hours a day, they will come and take you away.
Identify a behavior that's keeping you from getting your goals, something that's stopping you or holding you back. Once you've identified it, ask yourself, what is the positive intent here? What is my brain trying to give me? Get some leverage on yourself so that you can make the change. Teach your brain that, hey, if I don't change this thing, you gotta have a little conversation in your head.
You see, what you become is far more important than what you get. However, it is also true that what you become directly influences what you get. Most of what we have attracted by the person we have become. So here's the great challenge of life. You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. That is the great focus of attention for life change. Now, on the other side of the coin, it reads, Unless you change how you are, you'll always have what you've got. I've discovered that income does not usually exceed personal development. Sometimes income takes a lucky jump, but unless you keep growing out where it is, it will usually come back where you are. Life has strange ways. A very rich man once said, if you took all the money in the world and divided it equally among everybody, it would soon all be back in the same pockets. I guess it is hard to keep what you haven't attracted by your own personal development. It's not what we can do that's in question. What we can do is fantastic. What we can do is unbelievable. What we can do, it's what we settle for that's disappointing. What we become is what leads to all the good things. And the habits we form, habits of mind, attitude, and behavior, are a dominant part of what we are becoming. Now, I understand as well as anyone that forming new habits doesn't come easy. But new habits will come when we change, but rather by changing small pieces and parts at a time. I think that's how most of us change. We just keep nudging ourselves in the right direction, forming 1 or 2 new habits at a time, little by little, until finally we've made the turn. And this is where the good life comes from, those personal changes. There's nothing you can do with the seasons, but there's everything you can do with yourself. Wish for your own attitudes, strength, and capabilities to change in order to handle the winters. Time, we will probably use them all, unless somebody finally comes along and blows all those excuses apart to make us come face to face with the real reasons for our current dilemma. Until that time, we will probably use another million excuses to prevent ourselves from having $1 million. Here's one of the major questions I'll pose to you during this program. What are you going to do starting today that will make a difference in how your life works out? See, if you don't do something starting today that will make a difference, guess what? It's going to be the same. And you can guess what the next 5 years are going to be like. Just look at the last 5. Now here's another key question. What can you do starting today that will make a difference? That's a good question. What can you do? What can you do with economic chaos? What can you do with massive disappointment when it's all gone wrong? What can you do when it won't work, when you've run out of money, when you don't feel well, and it's all gone sour? What can you do? Well, let me give you the broad answer first. Here's what you can do. You can do the most remarkable things, no matter what happens. Hey, people can do incredible things, unbelievable things. A man can do the most amazing things with the most impossible circumstances. A woman can do the most remarkable things with the most disastrous circumstances. Hey, I found out kids can do remarkable things. That is, if they have remarkable things to do. I also found out if they don't have remarkable things to do, there's no telling what they'll do. For things to change for you, you've got to change, no matter what successes you've already achieved. Otherwise, it isn't going to change for you. I sure hope things will change. That seemed to be my only hope. If it wasn't going to change, I was in serious trouble. Then I found out it wasn't going to change, and I was in serious trouble. Hey, remember, it isn't going to change. Not long ago, I did a seminar for a group of oil company executives during their convention in Honolulu. Sitting around this conference table, one of them asked, Mr. Rohn, you know some important people around the world. What do you think the next 10 years are going to be like? I said, gentlemen, I do know the right people. I can tell you. So they all listened very carefully. I said, gentlemen, based on the people I know and from the best of my own experience, I've concluded that in the coming 10 years, it's going to be about like it's always been.
So, who are we to judge? We shouldn't judge people. We should help them. And there's probably nothing more we can do to live a worthwhile life than to help people. To help other people. And in helping other people, I promise you will be rewarded and you will be helping yourself too. We see men tested beyond anything we can imagine. And still they overcome the pain and the suffering and the fear. And yet we can't get ourselves out of bed in the morning. We can't move toward a goal we've set for ourselves. Don't allow that.
I don't care what you think of me. Your opinion of me does not matter at all. Well, you got to know your heart pretty good to be able to say that.
Be careful what you speak. Ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, ex-wives, ex-friends. They are speaking negatively about you, but don't join in. Protect yourself. Cover your tracks. But be careful what you speak, because you are empowering negative behavior.
I believe that some of the worst pain that we experience in life comes from people falsely accusing us and judging us. When they don't know us, or they don't know anything about us, and they don't bother to find out, they just take a look and have an opinion. How many of you have ever been hurt deeply by someone who judged you and criticized you, and you just thought, you don't even know what you're talking about? Well, one of the best ways to keep those kind of things from happening to us is not to dish it out to other people.
Who are you to judge? God has a job to do. Let him judge. Who are you to judge? You are being judged for judging. We all have to speak upon negative things and negative people, but try your best to pray for your enemies. Try your best to speak positivity and hope and saying, you know what, I don't like what you're saying and I don't like what you're doing, but I'm going to continue to pray for you. I'm going to continue to hope and speak blessings and opportunities in your life, because maybe you're bored. That's why you continue to just sit around and do and speak negative things. They say there's power in the tongue. So if you have power in the tongue, if you continue to speak negative things about people that are doing negative things to you, you are empowering their negative behavior. You'll notice that that negative behavior won't go away. If you speak it, someone will be it.
You remember what you are capable of if you mobilize your will. And if you keep moving forward, you keep advancing. Remember what you are capable of if you keep attacking. And don't stop. And don't stop attacking. And don't succumb to the suffering and the pain and the fear. Don't succumb, but instead move forward and attack.
Don't litigate over how much you have a right to have what I got, because until you suffered what I suffered, floated through what I floated through, survived what I survived, what you see on the outside is a reflection of the conflict on the inside. I could go home now, going through your life, saying, what do you see? Going through the trunk of your car, through your garage, through your house, what you see on the outside is a reflection of what's going on the inside.
We never have enough information to judge anyone. I want you to remember that. We know what we know, and there's a lot more that we don't know than that we know, usually about every individual. It's interesting to me that nobody ever judges me, or nobody ever judges you if they have what you have. People only judge us when they don't have what we have, and so therefore it's not even really what the word true judgment is all about. It's just jealousy. And they're not even mad because you have it, they're mad because they don't have it.
Remember, be a student, not a follower. And here's what you must always do: design your own personal life. I'm very happy for people to take notes at my seminar, but I'm also just as happy if somebody says, hey, this is not for me, tear up all these notes and throw them away. That's just as valid for me. Remember, be no one's disciple. Chart your own course. Make what you do the product of your own conclusion. What I'm saying here is be your own person. You don't have to be a model of someone else. You don't have to do it like anybody else, right? Do it like yourself. Buy what you want to buy, listen to what you want to listen to, make changes if you want to make changes, and don't make changes, right? It's your life, I'm telling you. And don't let anybody persuade you any different. Success is not a stereotype.
But when you continue to speak negative things about people that have done negative things to you, you are also continuing the cycle of negativity. You are speaking negative things into their life. Therefore, you are inspiring the negativity to continue. If you speak positive things into people that have done wrong by you, especially if they're continuing to do negative things to you and on your behalf, you are therefore trying to speak a positive transition from them being a negative and horrible person. You are trying your best to speak positivity into their life so that they can now start becoming a better person and a more positive person. It goes back to the saying, pray for your enemies.
Most people in a fearful situation, they forget everything and run, but there are few that in a fearful situation, they face everything and rise with courage. And that's who you are. And when you're going outside of your comfort zone, it takes courage. Most people, the majority of people, die within their comfort zone. They're not risk takers. They go through life trying to play it safe. There's no safe position in life. There's no safe position in life. You can't get out of life alive. You got to die to leave here. And so this is a time.
Success is the continual unfolding of the design of your own life and pulling it off. That's what success is. The continual unfolding of the design of your own personal life and pulling it off. Whatever degree you wish, that is success. Successful in doing whatever you want to do that makes sense to you, for you, your family, your responsibilities, or take on responsibilities or refuse responsibilities. That's strictly all up to you. We've been given the power of choice. Every life form except human beings operates by instinct in the genetic code. It has no multiple choice. Only humans have multiple choice. In the winter, the goose flies south. Why? Because he's a goose. If you said to the goose, it'd be better to go west this year, he ignores that advice, keeps on flying south. Why? Has no alternative, has no other way. He is only driven. All life form is driven by instinct in the genetic code except human beings. Now, why not human beings? Because here it is. We've been given the dignity of choice. We're not like a robot. We're not stuck like a tree, using up all the nourishment, nothing left, now you die because you can't change location. Not true. Humans can go north, south, east, west. Humans can change, do anything they want to do. We've been given the dignity. But here's what's interesting about all life form except humans. Every life form except humans strives to the max of its potential. How tall will a tree grow? As tall as it possibly can. You never heard of a tree growing half as high as it could. No. A tree grows as high as it can, drives down every root it can, produces every leaf it can, extends itself as far as it possibly can. Every life form extends to the max, except human beings. Now, why not human beings? Because we're not robots. We've been given the dignity of choice. And here's a couple of alternatives on the dignity of choice. To be part of or all of. You have the potential to be. And you got the choice. Do a little to make yourself comfortable and forget the rest, or do it all. And there's nobody here to dictate you got to do it all. That's nonsense. You got to be rich because we live in a rich country. That's nonsense. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to do it all. You can do a little, do some more. Take advice, but don't take orders. Take information, take training, take teaching, but don't take orders from no one that tells you how you need to live and what you need to own and what you need to do. Somebody says, well, you need to be successful. That's a personal choice, being successful.
What we teach is the possibilities, and everybody chooses. Take a little, take a lot, do some, do nothing. Ignore the subject. You've got to learn to do that. Abraham Lincoln said, "Since I would be no one's slave, I will be no one's master." Excellent philosophy. If a guy says, "Hey, I'm soon cashing it in, I'm heading for the mountains, I'm going to live in a little cabin, live off the land, and feed the squirrels." If he goes and does that, guess what? He's a smashing success. Why? He's doing what he designed to do and went and did it, pulled it off. You can't say, no, that's not successful. That is the epitome of success. It's giving a design to your life and go pull it off, making progress in that direction that satisfies you. If it doesn't satisfy you, make alternatives and you change. And if you get some better ideas, sure, you may follow someone's suggestion and ideas, but not orders. Design your own life like you want it that will fit. Now, if you take on some responsibilities, now you got to consider those. Yes, you can ignore your responsibilities, but you won't feel good about that. Guess what the old prophet said? Some things that taste good now in the mouth turns bitter later in the belly. So you don't want to sacrifice. We all must suffer one of two pains. Regardless of your choice of lifestyle and what you want to do, we must all suffer one of two pains. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And what we suggest to everybody is to consider the disciplines, because disciplines weigh ounces, regrets weigh tons. You don't want to substitute a discipline for a regret. In our opinion, that would be a poor choice. Now, you can do it, but some things are poor trade-offs. The old prophet said, what if you gained the whole world, but it cost you your soul? Would that be worth it? With a bit of intelligence, we say, no, that doesn't seem worth it. Even if you got the whole world, if you traded your soul, that experience would be so bitter and so awful and so devastating, it wouldn't be worth it. What if you got some gain by greed instead of legitimate ambition? I'm telling you, it might taste good up front, but it's going to turn bitter in the belly. And a bit of that advice saves some people from devastation. Say, well, you're right. I better think twice about that. So we must confront all laws, spiritual laws, agricultural laws, basic laws, fundamental laws. We must confront all of those. But you still now can design your own life. A little, a lot, go east, north, south. Don't put yourself in the straitjacket of something that's not to your choosing and not to your liking. Now, if you really want the prize, to become a multi-millionaire and run a company, fine. Then you got to pay the price. But hey, it's strictly up to you. There's no requirements here. Where is it written? There is no law. The key is to try to design your life. Yes, you might try something and say, hey, this cost me too much. I'm away from my family, I'm gone. So, this is valid. Little girl said to her mommy, said, Daddy never plays with me. Comes home and he's got this briefcase and he disappears and works on his papers and tells me to go to bed. And she tried to explain, said, look, your father loves you very much, but he's so busy at work. He can't get everything done. He has to bring it home. She said, why don't they just put him in a slower group? If you haven't got time for your kids, you should consider a slower group. It's not the money. It's not the success. You got to make sure everything works. Not something at the expense of everything. And this something at the expense of everything turns out to be too costly. Life in its best and most fulfilled, I think, is a balancing act to make everything work. A mother's got the challenge, a father's got the challenge. And all of this in balance, it's, even the tug of war and trying to make it work as husband and wife with, little different concepts. Guy's a baseball player and gets $4 or $5 million a year, and his talent takes him 185 games, whatever the games are that they play. That's a pretty tough one to do, gone most of the time. Should he go where his talent leads, or should he work at the bank from 9 to 5? It's a challenge to try to fit, compromise, make it work, make all systems work so you don't sacrifice everything for something. And it's all a dilemma. She says, go conquer the world and be home by 5 o'clock. And he says, well, that's a real challenge, right? But if you've got partners now, it's this combination of working it out. But let me tell you what, it can be worked out. Here's what happens if you ignore it. It just gets worse. You just got to confront and say, let us work it out so that we bless our life with all of the systems that furnish us with a good life. And guess what? It never ends, this trying to balance your life with everything. Getting in charge, mastering the situation, this is the big challenge. I remember some companies I started years ago. I'd start the company, I'm running the company. First thing you know, the company's running me. And along about that second year, I say, hold it. I used to be in charge. And now I'm out of control. I used to have it on the run. Now it's got me on the run. And the same is true whether it's a company or an enterprise or whether it's the day. The key is you just got to take charge and say, I'm going to start getting a handle and taking charge of my day and not let it get out of control. Because it's so easy to be persuaded and distracted by, things that use up time, take up time, and then first thing you know, it's all out of control. Here's the key we've all learned, maybe we just need to be reminded. It's not the hours you put in, it's what you put in the hours that count. Guy comes home at night, exhausted, falls into the chair and says, I've been going. Here's the key, doing what? Here's what we learned, don't mistake movement for achievement. Busy, that may not be the deal. It is the doing what that's the deal. Some people are busy all day long doing figure eights. They're not making much forward progress. Keep coming back around where they started. Learn to set goals so that you have some priorities. Priorities, constant review. Make sure it's what you really want. Let it change. Do whatever it wants to change. Learn to separate majors and minors. Here's something that requires minor time. Here's something that requires major time. Is this all helpful? Wow, I'm excited about sharing. Seeing if it'll create some value for you.
Instead of finding fault in others, we should all work to be the best people we can be and identify our own strengths and weaknesses. In other words, before we judge someone from our own viewpoint, we should take the time to take a very close look at ourselves, because none of us are perfect.
If you make it to the end of this video, just write on my timeline, from this point on, I will be careful of what I speak. Then I'll know you made it to the end of this video. And I want you to share this video. Why would you watch this video, be inspired by this video, and decide to keep it to yourself? From this point on, I will be careful of the negative things I speak. I love you.